So for anything that you'd like to know about mental health, resilience, neuromindfulness, anything that has to do with the human, might it be plugged into tech or just old school, then feel free to just reach out. Same, obviously, if you're interested to learn more about the program and the experiences. And with that, handing over and giving up to one of the next ones, either Matteo or Fabrice, whoever's ready.
I can quickly go next.
Yeah, please.
So first of all, thank you. Thank you, Michelle, for having me tonight. My name is Matteo. I'm actually the founder and CEO of Chef Passport. I'm originally a software engineer, turned over the years first into a product manager and then into a business owner. I spent most of my life building website, digital apps, so on and so forth. And then as an Italian, as you can probably guess from my accent, 5 years ago, I decided, okay, I want to give it a try to do something in two fields that are my passions, that are still building technology, and of course, food and cooking. And so I thought, okay, how can we put something innovative in the cook tech space, as we call ourselves pioneers right now? And this is how Chef Passport was born. That is actually a platform to connect cooking lovers with chefs through live streaming cooking classes, and started as a B2C activity. Then it turned out into B2B. We've been around for 5 years. Now we are we have chefs from 17 different countries of the world. We are proudly headquartered in Luxembourg, and I am proudly an alumni of the Founder Institute 2018, that I think it was the first edition that we ran here in Luxembourg. And then I also had the privilege, as Michelle said, I liked the program so much that then I ran as a Founder Institute director for another couple of years, 19 to 20, and then I'm in the program as a mentor. So I've seen really the three different angles that this program can offer, and I'm very eager and looking forward to sharing more about my experience with this program, which I'm a big fan of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matteo.
Thank you, Matteo. Thank you, Michelle. And I'm very happy to be here today. I'm not an old alumni like yours. I have been graduated from the program only in April 2023. But basically, I'm a software engineer, just like Matteo. I've been working in the tech sector for almost 17 years. I've been developing solutions and also working in different kind of space, from technical to functional background. And a couple of years ago, I was recognized by Microsoft of one of the 30 solution architects building CRM solution in the world. So after making all kind of solution for companies, I realized that we are seeing more and more companies which are interconnected. So there were always the same kind of struggles, like having companies working with partners but struggling to build multi-party processes. So I decided to build a solution that will enable users, from the personal assistant to the sales director, good in their job but not good at coding, creating these kind of processes and just make things happen. So work with those external partners. That's where I started Ulalo, which means, by the way, creating bridges in Swahili. And with my co-founder, we joined the program. We start building this solution that we are now providing to businesses as a B2B product. So I love the program. I have not been yet a director, but I am thinking about um, helping the next generation as a mentor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fabrice, Michelle, and Matteo. And I don't want to waste a lot of time before I go to the hot questions directly. And I'm interested to, like, first know why Founder Institute. When you never heard of Founder Institute before, what pushes you to go and apply to the program and do the program, and then did it matches the expectations you had to it before you apply to it? I can start with Matteo, maybe.
Well, sure thing. So I'm happy to share my experience. So, well, I like to be very pragmatical. So instead of big theory, I can literally tell you what was my specific experience. Back in the days, I was in Amazon. I was working as a product manager for Amazon Vendor Services, and I already had a couple of startup experiences. As I mentioned, I'm based in Luxembourg. I'm originally from Milan, and even before joining Luxembourg, I always knew that sooner or later my path would have been as a startup entrepreneur. I thought tech entrepreneur. It turned out to be maybe a little less tech than what I expected at the beginning, but I knew that I wanted to do something with my own hands. Let me say, Amazon helped me a lot to have to acquire those skills and give me the final push. So I was in Luxembourg. I was started looking around. You know, the Luxembourg back in those days, it was the first period where even the Ministry of Digitalization was happening. A lot of initiative and accelerators, incubators were started, you know, taking off in Luxembourg. And so, despite I had a good understanding of the product tech world, now after 5 years in the business, it's already completely different discussion. But I was really looking for to some program to help me breach those gaps that I could have had in knowledge in the other areas that I never worked in, be legal, be finance, be you know, even sales, that I always be more on the product creation side of things. So I basically was recommended the Founder Institute by a colleague in Amazon. I thought, you know, there is this program going on, and I remember I joined the first network event back in the days. It was in presence, and I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of mentors, start understanding how the structure was. And I was bought in. I mean, I said, this is the kind of the program that will give me the opportunity to get in touch with people that otherwise I don't know, because I'm in a kind of shielded environment like Amazon, great corporation, everybody supports themselves. But sometimes you're in a sort of a bubble and you don't know what is going on outside your company. And so this is why it was the first approach for me. I go, wow, I think that through this network, I will be able to get in touch with people that I can learn really how to run a business that I would never be able if I don't go through the program. And long story short, I think if I have to pick up one reason why, and luckily I can tell you that after 5 years, I was pretty much right in given the relationship that I've built so far. That's the reason number one why I chose the Founder Institute, I think.
And how about terms of expectations?
How about, sorry?
Like expectations when you joined the program? I know, of course.
Oh,
you
well,
were a
I
director
can.
after, so.
Yeah, well, in terms of expectations, I think that one of the most important thing was for me to have some sort of structure, because whenever you want to start a business, maybe you have an idea, maybe you have a passion, maybe you already have a technology, but sometimes you don't know how to put all these pieces together. And as I used to say, I used to have a lot of questions and I didn't have anyone I could ask and address these questions. Today, I probably even more questions than 5 years ago, but at least I know to whom I could address this. And the expectation was to have a process, a program that would help me backfill all these gaps in the different areas where I was not, let me say, proficient back in the days. And let me say that this is something that I found the program challenging, tough, but very well structured. So the expectation of having something that will help me structure the first steps, that was something that, again, was quite met, I have to say.
Thank you for sharing this, Matteo. Maybe I want to get a feedback as well from Michelle or Fabrice. We go to Michelle first.
Sure. So for me, I think it was a bit similar to Matteo when I first came to the idea of creating my own business. I literally had no one to turn to. There's no one in my family or surroundings. I grew up in Luxembourg. So if you're in the Luxembourgish ecosystem or society, you might know there's a lot of people, native Luxembourgish, who take like the safe way with a well-paid job in a good company or with the government, and rarely take a different path, though I have like a huge family. So for me, it was definitely helpful to go also with the structure. There was so much that I personally learned because I had, as said, no business background up to that point. So really getting from the idea up to being ready to incorporate was amazing. It was definitely challenging because there's so many new terms I had to learn. I think I learned more in these 3-4 months than I did in my whole bachelor's year. That's how I felt, at least. And what I found most valuable was definitely also the network. I remember there we had these little groups to give feedback with each other, to discuss the idea, to pitch. So working together with the peers was super helpful. And still, I'm in touch today with some of them, either for partnerships or for addressing new questions, whatever it might be. But then when I found the program online, I was like, okay, this looks like it's not too time consuming, as in it's taking me 3 years to learn what to do, but it's giving me also not just this 1 week crushed course where my brain needs to get so much information, I forget half of it, because I had one program before, what was 10 days, and where I got the basics, but it was not enough to incorporate the business. So there, the expectations really were, again, getting all the structured knowledge, understanding how to run a business and be ready to do so. And then secondly, definitely also the, as they call it, vitamin B. That was what the few people I met in the beginning of my journey told me, that you just go in, you make the most of the network, of the connections, you make it meaningful. And by that, you slowly start growing and get the opportunities that you need. And that was it in a nutshell, pretty similar to Matteo's journey, I think. For me, I guess it was slightly different experience because we had not that many women in the program. I think that's quite often the case. I think we had 5 women out of 40 when we started. And in the end, we had 2 that were left up to the very last mile that we walked, 2 out of 10. So that was also an interesting part to see. And one where I also was like very grateful that all the peers were super welcoming and supporting, but also letting me think that there needs to be more women in that field, while I'm not someone who's just promoting that part on the side, but just sharing that might be something you also experience from the other angle then.
Thank you, Michelle, for sharing. How about you, Fabrice?
Well, first of all, I think the founder associate program was quite challenging. It was really pushed out of my comfort zone. I used to build consulting companies. I used to serve, a lot of global companies, but doing services. But I needed a structure. I needed a program to have also the path to build a product that really fit with the market. So not having all those knowledge from my tech background, from my studies, I was looking for program that will basically structure all of that in a shorter time frame. And I met a lot of people a lot of things, but they was not very concise. And when someone introduced me to the Founder Institute, I really love it. I really realized that this is really the process that I need to not only test my idea, but also to get into a network that is very very global and useful. So my expectations were met because I was able during that program to enhance my business management skills. Was looking for networking, and I was served with more than thousands of alumni all around the world on all kind of topics that you might expect, from legal to technicals or any other kind of things that you want. You can only go there, find people who are also available. That's the thing that's very touched me. And still today I'm going onto that portal and get this kind of one-to-one meetings, which are very meaningful. So that's all I can say for now.
Thank you, Fabrice. And you touched on one point actually while talking, is the skills that you learned, for example, management. We know that in the program there is a pitching every week or every other week. So we know that the pitching is really important in this program. Besides learning how to pitch as well, would you think that there are any other skills you learned, like the most important skill you learned in the program?
Well, indeed, the pitching was my really difficult point, because I learned with the Founder Institute to deliver my idea in a concise and impactful manner. But there were other skills that I learned, like sales, marketing, and branding. So I found out that it's very important to have a good branding. Basically, if you want to target a certain market, you need to present your solution in a certain way. I learned that through the program, but there are a lot of things that we went through the program, like sales, product development, and of course, communication through the different media that we have today.
Thank you so much. Maybe I want to get also the feedback of Michelle and Matteo about the skills they personally learned from the program.
Ladies first.
We're in like an equal society, so Matteo, please feel free to go first.
Okay, cool. That's touche. So on my end, it's also, I think, one of the most important thing you will hear over and over and over and over is really pitching. So I cannot keep on iterating the importance and how the Founder Institute pushes you on every single day to pitch and to learn how to pitch to different audiences, because sometimes we think that we have one pitch, but then when you end up doing this, because your life will become a pitch, even when you talk to your neighbors, you don't understand at a certain point that you will keep on getting, hey, but what is your business about? And then you need to know how to talk to who is a potential client. So you have an elevator pitch for a client, for a partner, for an investor, for a business partner. So there are so many different way of pitching, and somehow you need to develop this readiness and this and I think this comes with a lot of practice, and this is where I really appreciated when you're pushed very out of at least my comfort zone at the beginning, where every week you have to keep on pitching. So definitely this is one. Also, a thing that for a person like me coming from the product tech world, that sometimes, when you're in technology companies, you always have the business units that just engage you with the requirements. That mean the entire scoping, financing, budgeting has already been done by somebody else. So I never had actually the possibility to roll up my sleeves and understand what does it mean to fund a project, be it a startup, be it a single project. So for me, it's also the fact that I learned through the Founder Institute all these different stages: seed, Series A, Series B, a business angel, a venture capitalist, private equity. What are all these different? I don't come from a finance background, so probably for finance people this was the one-to-one, 101. But for me, it was very important to understand all these different stages. Okay, today, who can be my potential investor? Should I go to full friends and family? I'm ready to get a first business angel. So understanding where you are as in your growth process and who could be the potential people to approach and how to pitch to different people, because again, pitching to your friends is different than pitching to a business angel, is different than pitching to a venture capitalist. So all the things at the end of the day align, all the stars align. And at least I would say it's the sales skills. That's another thing probably that I would never had to take care too much in my previous corporate life. But if there is one thing I can tell everyone right now, is just shorten the path to the first sales, because you can spend all the time you want to build the product, do your market research, do all the beautiful things, but if your product doesn't sell, your startup won't survive. So that's for me was, and I probably sometimes as tech people, we have a little bit of this I don't know how to, I don't want to call it arrogance, but say, oh, I do something so complicated like software development, marketing and sales. It's easy. I can do it. It's not. It's very complicated. It's a science itself, and especially it's very expensive. So I completely underestimated all the marketing costs at the beginning, and I underestimated the complexity of closing a sales process, especially when over the years we pivoted into the B2B side of things. So you go from closing online deals with consumers to going through the entire sales process with gatekeepers, try to find a decision maker in the company, pitch, follow up. It's complicated. This is why I mean, probably I'm stating the obvious, but for me it was something kind of new, and at least having a glimpse through the program on what was expecting me right after really helped me at least to start sharpening the first weapons to fight this, because it's going to be tough. It's one of the biggest challenges, I would say.
Thank you. And I will switch the question to Michelle, actually, since Matteo was talking about the challenges. One of the, let's say, the core important activities in the program are the assignments. Like every week there are assignments, and then founders have to deliver those assignments. So I want to see from your side, Michelle, first, what were the challenges on this level, and how those assignments help you to have a clear idea about the business in general?
Yeah, it's a nice question, actually. And the first thing that came to my mind is how I left the train station, and I sat down on the first bench that I came across, taking out my laptop, connecting it to my Wi-Fi spot, and just sending off the assignment, just to make sure it's there on time. And people looking at me weirdly, like, what's she doing? So assignments, as said, that's a big part. So it was sometimes definitely stressful. It was a challenge, as in not coming from a business background. I sometimes really had to look up also different terms and how to just learn about it. So for me, it was learning how to do it and then doing it. So it was kind of double the work. It's not just you have your math homework and they ask you what's 2 + 2. But they would place it in a Chinese language. So you would need to understand what's written in Chinese and then solve the riddle. That was how I felt in some moments. And I mean, for me and I think for most of us, USP is something we use now more often as the unique selling point. But then when I first came across that, I was so confused. and it's just a very small part. So there were definitely challenges on the level on first understanding and then getting enough time to also accomplish every assignment that was there. It was helpful though, because it was a crash course that came week after week in a manner that I could still digest it. And by that, learning a lot on the hard knowledge on how to run it, but also how everything works, how to build the business. The assignments as such are sometimes helpful, as in, for example, the branding, marketing, depending on what I work, still go back and have a look at it, because we all know there's sometimes you pivot ideas, you might come up with a new project, you might need to have a different perspective. So once you have these basic understandings and you have that structure, you can just go and say like, okay, what did I do back then? How can I take the same approach? Because it was super helpful. It's obviously easier if you do that, I don't know, 5 times a year, but I don't think every one of us is going back to the basics 5 times a year or more often. So for that, it was definitely helpful. Sometimes, because assignments are not always personalized one-on-one, obviously, because when you have 40, 50 people in there, you can't have 50 different assignments. And then the phase obviously is different for each person. We do have a growth track though, if you're a bit further ahead. So then the assignments are slightly different. And then I think the challenge for me was, as in the beginning, I was not focused on a tech product. So some of the assignments were, I got a bit creative, as in how to apply them to my own business. Because it was more in the beginning, definitely coaching, consulting, and how to offer different services before coming up with the tech solutions. And that was interesting as such. But it gave me also to learn the skill, or to hone my skill of being creative.
And we know that one of the biggest issues that founders who just started have is that they have a lot of ideas in mind, but nothing is written. So I would assume that those assignments were helping to have something written that you can come back to every time you want, as you mentioned, Michelle. And then that also helps as a building structure of the business, that you know, for example, for product development, this is what you have, and you're going to go back to it to read it, even if you are lost sometimes to go back to it. And even if you want to develop it, so you can come back to it and rewrite it and develop it.
Totally.
Or do you think in later, for example, pitches, or if you were in a competition or something like that, you went back to those assignments to read what you did, or at least use the material that was in there?
Yes, and that's what I can recommend everyone. When you start, do it as thorough as possible, because later there's so much happening, you're shifting so much. But I still have the initial plans laid out, and coming back to it, it's like, oh, this is not a new idea, but the foundation was laid in the first year, which is helpful to give the context, but then obviously connecting to what I've learned throughout the years. But still, the framework has remained the same. That's absolutely true.
And I want to go to another topic with Fabrice, actually, because Fabrice, you joined with a co-founder. Both of you were in the program. I know that you were in Belgium, but your co-founder was living in Canada. It's a big of a challenge to create something together, with the time difference and the distance as well. How do you think Founder Institute helped you restructure the work between you together? And then where do you see the benefit of Founder Institute for co-founders, for example?
Yes, the fact that Founder Institute structured the work, I must say. So basically, there are a lot of things that we thought were, obvious. So the program helped us to be more mindful of some of the tasks that we might do either for hiring, or maybe to create cap tables, financials. So all those steps were clear enough to for us to divide the work, I must say, into and know which task is assigned to who, and in the same times be mindful of the time that it takes to make sometimes a marketing material. So as Matteo said, as a tech engineer, you might sometimes think that sales is easier, is finger in the nose, and you go out there with a complex product, and all the world will follow you. So basically, we have not just split the assignment in two. We decided to make the assignment by ourselves, the whole assignment, and then to have this kind of meeting where we confront ourselves and see the counterparts' ideas, and it was really helpful for us. The fact that my co-founder was based in Canada, 6 hours from here, helped us also to see which location is suit the best for the product that we are providing, and how the markets is behaving, so either from North America or here in Europe. So it was great to see that for the market fit process.
Thank you so much, Fabrice. And Matteo, I know one of the most important things also in the program is mentors, like the possibility to have direct feedback from mentors every session, or also have the one-to-one sessions with mentors. I want to get from you, because you were a founder and then a leader in the program, and then as a mentor. First, I want to understand what leads you to this journey, why you decided to be a leader, and why you decided to be a mentor in the program, and then maybe elaborate on the benefits of having the one-to-one sessions with mentors in different locations and in different expertise, how this could help a founder in general within Founder Institute.
Yeah, so that's a great question. As I said at the beginning, I believe that definitely one of the or the biggest advantages is the possibility to build this network of mentors around you in the program. And I think I mean, I'm not saying anything new, or I'm not disclosing anything by saying that some of the mentors of the Founder Institute then became the investors in my company, because that's something that's a natural evolution. Because when you show your passion, when you show your determination, and when you have this type of senior leaders that can usually are, especially business angel, are people who like to take under their wing and empower young entrepreneurs, because probably they have been through the same journey earlier in their lives, and these are people who love to give back and help younger entrepreneurs strive. That's exactly what happened to me. So it started like one-to-one sessions during the Founder Institute, and then honestly it evolved that with one of this ownership is investor versus entrepreneur. So it's amazing, because you see how the relationship has evolved over the years, starting just from having someone you can ask general advice. But I believe, as we said at the beginning, the Founder Institute is looking for great people. So you can learn skills, you can improve your different areas of expertise, even in different, but there is something, there is the small flame inside everyone that I really think that in a very complicated world where an investor has to make a decision where to put their money among thousands of pitches that they see throughout the years, it's really the person. It's really the person. It's really the individual. What we are humans at the end of the day. We need to go to the heart of people. And I think that by leveraging soft skills, by leveraging those superpowers that we have as humans to build human connections, even with investors. At the beginning of the founding, I was thinking, oh, investors, maybe, you know, you have this kind of mythological figure in your mind, but at the end of the day, an investor is a person. So you're just a person who wants to be listened to, and he likes to hear about your challenges, and you have to build relationships with them. And this is the only thing that I've seen working, because I don't, of course, you need to have a strong business plan. You have to have a strong you know, a strong team and all these things. But let me say, these are things that matter. The more you grow, and the more you need to have some business KPIs. But at the very beginning, who matters is the founder, their ambition, their passion, and their personality. So this is why I have seen this evolution, this relationship evolve over the years. And this is why I'm not an investor yet, unfortunately, but as a mentor, this is definitely what I love to do now. I want to, you know, confront, hear new ideas, talk, see how people are passionate about what they're doing is what really makes me excited, honestly. And this is why it's, for me, it's important, because I can even keep and train my own skills as a company leader, because sometimes you have your own team, but just helping other people will help you develop different perspectives, different point of view. And this is what I think that, you know, the profile of the mentor, starting from the person helping you in one-to-one session, it can evolve maybe into a more business relationship. And then personally, I think that this is a natural evolution of this, by saying, okay, I'm a mentor today of the founder institute. How can I help young talents and young entrepreneurs not to make the same mistakes I made? Because I think this is the most important thing. What we want to avoid is to keep on doing the same mistakes over and over. And this is, if there is one thing a mentor can give you, is their expertise, because they already went through it. So sometimes, rather than spending time trying to fix a problem, just ask to someone who already went through it and ask them how they fixed it, and, you know, learn from this. Because sometimes it's more effective to spend time searching for this person and ask them how they fix an issue, rather than try to solve ourselves. And sometimes we don't even do it best. That's my takeaway on the mentorship program.
Thank you so much. I just want to give a space if Michelle or Fabrice want to add something to that. Otherwise, I can go to the next question.
Maybe just, can you go first, Fabrice?
Oh yeah, thank you, Michelle. No, I was just like want to thank you, Matteo, for this, because mentorship is really the key point. And I was literally blessed by having mentors who were there, like for these one-to-one sessions, listen to me, explaining you know, some of their experience, and most of all, providing constructive feedbacks. I had some of the mentors who rated me quite low, and who was eager to explain me why they gave me those ratings, and I was very happy, because at the end of the day, it improved my skills in terms of leadership, but in terms also of communication. Thank you.
If I can just one line echo, definitely, Fabrice. Honestly, I didn't add this, but those mentors that were rating me the lowest at the beginning are those that I'm still in touch now after 5 years, because they really pushed me and helped me grow.
Yeah, just adding from my side, when you choose your mentors, just have in mind what you want to build and how you want to work, and make sure you find the right people to support you, because obviously you want to take on what they share with you, and that means that they should be in line with what you want to build, so you're not going into a different direction. If you do work with someone who's coming from a different angle, as long as you're mindful about it, it can be super powerful and helpful to just get this new perspective. But then also to get the most out of a session, it's always be authentic, come with your clear ask, a clear vision, like what you're looking for. And if you actually just want to hear thoughts, that's also super helpful. So they always love to get in touch. I remember reaching out on LinkedIn just randomly, not just from the mentors from our cohort, the local ones, but really all over the world, wherever I could find a Founder Institute mentor that would fit. And most of them, I'd say 95%, they came back positively. They had time, they were interested to get involved, and saying that they kindly appreciate that a lot. This is my own well-being mentor. Apologies for the disturbance. I can just recommend that too. It's nice to let go of stress. And with that, giving back to Amin.
I get back to you again, Michelle. Like, I want to understand, how has your understanding of the startup ecosystem changed after completing the program in general?
Definitely that it's all, or how it is connected, let's say. Because when, as Matteo also mentioned just now, first of all, they're all humans, right? So you interact with humans, not with numbers. And that when you go and you have these authentic relationships and you make it meaningful, it's something that will last. So the ecosystem will also not forget. They will remember you as long as you're not just breezing by, but also taking the moment to stop and really interact, and still having people that I talk to today, either for partnerships, for becoming potential clients, recommendations, for receiving feedback and mentorship, still from those times back then when I entered the Founder Institute and when I entered the ecosystem. And what I've also felt is that, and most of you probably know, it's the quality and not the quantity that matters in that moment. But also definitely understand how to approach people where they are. And then when you're in Luxembourg and it's such a small country, I'd say, at some point you just get a bigger image of everything. It was challenging, definitely during COVID times, because that's when I started or wanted to do it a lot more with the networking and getting into the ecosystem. So I think that was a bit tricky to only have it virtual. But then when you have the chance, just go out there, talk to people, and you're going to learn so much and see how it's all also connected. And when you enter in one place and you also ask for recommendations, you start talking about your idea with, the vision, the mission, what you want to achieve, you mostly also get referred to the right places, to the ecosystem. So it's, as said, not numbers, it's more a living system that if you treat it well, it will definitely benefit you.
Thank you, Michelle. I definitely want to give some time for questions later from you guys, so you can write them in the chat, or I'll give a time where you can basically talk to us directly and ask your questions. But before that, would like to finally have a kind of a final question to the three of you, which is basically, what advice can you give to someone who is considering to join Founder Institutes? And if there is any other thing you want to touch upon or you want to share with us tonight. Maybe we start with Matteo again.
Well, I think that my main advice would be start with an open mind, because start with an open mind and set the bar very high, because the program is challenging. So sometimes I've seen probably we quickly touched about the fact that after these weekly reviews and when you get feedback from the mentor, there is a significant drop-off rate, just because people probably underestimated, or they thought it was just like a side gig, or they can dedicate some time, but this is a significant effort. And if you really want to become an entrepreneur, and if you really want to believe that this can become your main life job, you, especially when you have, we heard about many times when you have to do this transition from corporate to entrepreneur, there is always that a little bit of fear. Am I ready to do the big leap and leave the comfort zone and step into the unknown? And this is really something that is absolutely personal. And I think there is no answer. I get this question over and over and over, but when did you feel ready? I don't know. I think that there is no one single answer to this question. For me, it was more. I'm a kind of risk taker person. I love taking risks. That's a little bit probably on the opposite side. For me, it was not a big deal. For some other people, of course, I can imagine, especially if you have responsibilities and families, commitments, finance to take care of. So definitely, this is something that it's crucial. You need to feel it, how you can how if you believe you're ready. But let's just don't procrastinate forever, because on the other hand, I heard people that, oh yeah, I've been thinking about starting my business for the last 20 years, so okay, I will think about the next month. So it cannot be a never-ending game. You need to set up yourself a deadline. You want to really do it, there must be a cutoff date. So don't, my other recommendation would be, if the program is challenging, it will take a lot of hours, and you don't want this to be wasted time. So do it if you feel that you're really ready to change your life for better, in my opinion.
That's really valuable, Matteo. Thank you so much. Fabrice or Michelle, yeah, feel free to share whenever you want.
Michelle, can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Well, of course, the program is challenging, but I think you need to be really clear about your goals. Having a clear visions will certainly guide your journey. You will have a lot of hurdles. You will have times where you want to just give up, but whether your vision is to get some funding, scaling up your startup, expanding your networks, or just gaining valuable knowledges from other aspects of the business management, you just need to take it on your back and know that this program will be a 3 months or 3 months and a half, and you need to stick into the train and go achieve the end. So that will be valuable, I think, for the rest of your life. So don't give up. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Fabrice.
Thanks, Fabrice and Matteo, for those insights. Can second that. Definitely be clear on your vision. With that together, be clear on your why, because those two will definitely carry you through all the challenges. And I've seen quite often founders coming in and saying the why is because I want to have a company just for the experience. Could be one thing. When it gets tough, you might just drop. And that's the same for those that come in and say, just because I want to make a lot of money. Because I can also assure you, those unicorns that happen overnight, they quite often had a long struggle before. I just had this week multiple conversations with different founders. The first years are definitely also tough. So if you're in it for the money, I'm not sure how far that why will bring you. And besides being clear on the vision and the why, try to be as clear as possible on your core values, like values that really are dear to you, that carry you through every change, every challenge. If you're aware of what it is for you, it will make it so much easier to deal with all the wind that will blow and try to push you from the moment where you're standing at the position where you're standing at the moment. When people tell you no, when you get harsh feedback, it will just be helpful. You will see it as a help and not waver on your journey.
I would like to have a big thank to you for the valuable feedback. I will try to go to the questions from the audience. Please raise your hand if you want to speak. Otherwise, I can see Carolyn having a question: is how much pivoting you did during your program, and if you didn't pivot, did the program help you make this? You can, yeah, I saw that Matteo shared already the reply within the chat, but yeah, maybe you can feel free to share also.
Yeah, maybe very quickly about this. I think in all the startup stories you will hear about the pivot at a certain point. So as I mentioned, our initial idea was to create this platform to connect to run online cooking classes live streaming for individuals. Like you go, you select the cuisine, you like this chef, you book a call next Tuesday from 4 to 5. We have a one-to-one private individual session. And the business model didn't work because it was really costly for us on the chef side, because chefs want to be paid very well, and on the other side people were not willing to pay as much as we needed to make a decent margin to run a business, because at the end of the day you don't want to have a hobby. You need to have a business, and if you have no margins, there is no business. And then we were saying, okay, the format, we like the format. So how can we take it to the next level? And as the pandemic happened, because sometimes I want to just to when I talk about that our main business is online cooking classes, I hear, oh, you're a COVID baby company. And I really don't like this definition, because actually we were doing this even 2 years before COVID. So this is something, it's a format that I really believed even before COVID. But during COVID, I cannot hide that it was the best moment for us, because everybody was at home cooking, and there was a huge demand for this type of service, to the point that we said, okay, but who is the most impacted by COVID? And it was clear after a little bit of research through the tools that even in the Founder Institute, I actually rerun a couple of chapters of the Founder Institute only to analyze the market for this additional product that we were saying, okay, is there something? And employee engagement turned out to be the problem, because at the early stage of pandemic, it was the first time where people had to work remote, no more lunches, no more aperos, no more networking. So people that were used to chit chat with their colleagues at the water cooler for life, they all of a sudden were isolated at home. So we said, okay, we want to provide something to make them happy, to help colleagues bond, even if they have to stay in their individual houses. So 2 years ago, every company was in this situation, and this is probably what it worked very well. And now a lot of companies embraced remote work. So now this is a constant challenge. You have employee engagement managers, HR managers, executive assistant, event managers, all those that are concerned in maintaining high the morale of employees in remote environments, that are still concerned with this even in this new world. And that is completely different than what I thought Chef Passport should have been at the beginning, because we were thinking, oh yeah, we would like to storytell about travel and food. That was my first pitch at the Founder Institute back 5 years ago. And flash forward of 5 years, we are solving a completely different problem for a completely different audience. But just because we were keeping an eye on the market, see what happens, we have a core value, we have a core vision. We know that we want to do something with technology and cooking. And as my former boss, Jeff Bezos, said, is always stubborn on the vision and flexible on the details. And as long as you know that you want to go there, somehow you will get there. But thinking that you will have a fully fleshed out path is an illusion. Just keep on pushing, and somehow you'll get there.
Thank you for the feedback, Matteo. And yes, guys, if you have any other questions, please just raise your hand or unmute yourself, and you can start asking the questions directly. We can have more like 10 to 15 minutes of questions before we leave it to kind of a networking.
Yeah, I have a question, if I may.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
Yes. Yeah, thank you all for all the feedback. It's been super helpful. So I guess one question I'm wondering these days is how much time do you think should be allocating to the program per day on average, based on your experience?
Let me
I
ask,
can. So go ahead.
you want to go first, Matteo?
Please feel free.
Thanks. Just let me ask you, how far are you just in your stage? Are you completely new with the idea, or have you already worked on it for some time? Because that will definitely make a difference according to my own experience.
I would say, yeah, very early stage. I've done some, some research, some homework but I would say very early stage, yeah.
For me, it differed. The first weeks were more intense because also the assignments have been bigger in some ways. So I think the first weeks were 15 to 20 hours, keeping in mind that I also tried to understand what some of the terms meant, because I was not coming from the business background. But I know others took sometimes 5 hours longer, but I also had fellows, peers that were faster and that only needed 8 to 12 hours per week. So I think that differs, but personally in the beginning I needed 15 to 20, and then towards the end I needed more, 8 to 10 hours per week.
Yeah, I can definitely echo. This was mostly what in my case, it was around, let me say, 20 hours. And this is why, especially when you have when you still have a full-time job, maybe a family, a social life, hopefully, that to keep up with you have 24 hours in the day. And I remember the first 3 months total, 40 hours corporate job, and this was 20 hours on top. So it can be challenging. You really need to be willing to do it, because otherwise it's easy to lose a little bit of motivation. So it's always also to find that what is the trick that every day will make you wake up and say, oh, yeah, I want to do this. And but it's when you have other type of commitment, it can be challenging. But yeah, Michelle, I'm aligned with Michelle, 20 to 25 hours per week, especially at the beginning.
And just adding on that, sometimes obviously it depends also on how much you interact with the mentors, right? So that's also up to you, how much you reach out, to whom you talk, how long those meetings are. That's also individual, and it's a little bit where you can say like, okay, I want to invest in here or there in this week.
But again, not just to discourage, but this is what, especially in the first 2 years, you will end up working really hard. So this is why I think one thing I really appreciate of the Founder Institute is it's not setting false expectations. It's challenging because you are choosing a challenging path. So it's just a starting point. You can have a glimpse for 2-3 hours. You test in a very safe environment, and then say, wow, am I really ready to do this? Maybe it's not now, maybe it's next year. As I said, as long as we have a clear cutoff deadline somehow, otherwise it's gonna be tough, but we don't have to just pretend that it's not the case, because that's the way it is.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
Fabrice, maybe if you have feedback, if else, I can also.
No, I can only echo what Matteo and Michelle just said, because yeah, it can be challenging. On my side, I already have incorporated 2 companies, so I knew the path here. I've prepared some of the steps, which basically made the few 2 or 3 weeks easier for me, as also was with a co-founder. It helped a lot, but definitely it was really difficult for us to spend less than 10 hours a week on the Founder Institute program.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I just wanted to add that it also depends if you are with your co-founder or if you are a solo entrepreneur. That makes a difference as well on the number of hours you gotta have to provide.
Well, I'm solo for now, so.
Yes, Kerlin, please, you can go ahead.
Yeah, and thanks again for each of your talk. Very inspiring. And I have a question regarding indeed product development, because I'm a bit like Javi or Javi.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's like early stage, right? I have the idea. I have two friends who we decide to work together, but we don't have yet the contract, right? To say we are co-founder already, but we are thinking about it together, trying to build different part of the business together. But then how much of hub would you say, now I'm talking to the non-technical founder, how much help would you say you got from the network from Founder Institute to build the product itself? Because I'm also non-technical, and there is a big part in my vision of tech in the product. So yeah, I'm just wondering how much it is practical to build the product in this condition.
So what I can say from experience, Founder Institute is not a hub where you learn tech skills. What I've seen, though definitely sometimes you find co-founders that are in the tech field, so you can merge. Personally, it has helped me as in working with so many people and founders that actually were building a tech product was helpful because I could see and learn from their challenges. I could also reach out to mentors who already walked that path. So I knew exactly whom I would need to look for now when I build it, but also what questions I ask and what challenges might await. So it gave me at least a basic understanding through the exchange, because obviously they pitch a lot. So usually also pitch in your little groups to each other, presenting the products. And by that learning, because at least me, I like to ask questions a lot. So I'd like to understand what's going on. And these opportunities help me to gain the basic knowledge. But I definitely recommend to have at least one person in the team that is tech skilled. And ideally, they can also sit with you on some of the assessments. The assessments are, or assignments, sorry, I always messed it up. Assignments are not solely focused on tech as such, but there are, for example, the revenue models. So they sometimes have a question here or there that's a little bit more turned towards that part. So having a tech person is definitely helpful when you also enter the project, or reaching out to people and exchanging who have built a tech product. And that's definitely what I strongly would recommend if you're also building your own product in tech and you're at the same time entering that new field.
And I would say this is where the benefit of the network that you join comes to, because then you may not know a lot of tech background people, but other founders that are in the program at the same time, they know, because they have a technical background, so they know others that they can introduce you to. And also the fact that you are with other founders that they have advanced technical skills, they may share some tips that on how to build, for example, just an example from previous cohorts, for example, that you can maybe you don't know where to build the website, and then sharing just some quick tips on where to do that, or I don't know, like for branding, some websites that can help you basically create branding automatically or something like that. I know like founders within each other's, let alone the mentors that they have experience in that, just the founders within each other's, they share this information. So this is helpful actually. Yeah, Matteo, Fabrice, please feel free if you want to add something on that. Otherwise, we can go to the next question.
I'm good. Next question.
Is it clear, Kellen?
No, yeah, it's clear. And I have a tech partner. It was more than in terms of the map, right? How do you get to the final product and the mentoring? But I think, yeah, indeed, the network and the mentoring will help.
Yeah. So
Oh,
maybe
yes, so-
just. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead, Matthew.
No, I was just saying that maybe just to add on this, it's definitely, I think that when it comes to founding team, it's just a matter of finding someone who complements your skills. And surprisingly enough, I spoke with other founder institute directors and alumni from other countries, and I think it's a very country specific type of situation where I don't know, maybe, I mean, correct me if I am wrong, but at least in my cohort, there was a huge demand for tech founders because most of the founders were more on the business, legal, finance, maybe because it's Luxembourg. Then sometimes I've spoken with the Founder Institute of Berlin, and it was completely the opposite because Berlin is a tech hub, and yet a lot of tech founders that were desperately looking for marketing, finance, and the salespeople. So one way of looking at this is, again, keep in mind that the Founder Institute is a global program. So your co-founders, I strongly believe that at least at the beginning, you should sit next to your co-founder. So it's very hard to have a founding team when you are remote. But at least if you believe in your company for the first 2, 3, 4, 6 months of startup, you can manage to say, hey, we afford that we meet physically in person to set up the foundation of the business. Do not forget that you definitely have different hubs of the Founder Institute worldwide where you totally will find someone who can complement your skills. And that's still back to the power of network, let me say.
And just to get back to what you just mentioned, Kellen, yes, maybe technically you won't find how to build the solution technically or how to do it, but the one-to-one sessions with the mentors, for example, you can book sessions with IT experts or like experts in the domain you want, and then ask specific questions directly to them on the product development or product creation in general. So that's like as much as I know that you're already involved in the system and the program and you're coming to join, as much as you book office hours with mentors in the topics you lack or you need, as much as help you can get as well.
And I mean, if I may, just to close on
Yeah.
this, let's all keep in mind one thing, coming from after 20 years that I've been doing this job, building technology is expensive and it's super time consuming, and it's not a one job, one man activity. You totally need a team of developers. Depending on the complexity of your product, you might need front end, mobile, back end, APIs. Not talking about the entire data scientist branch now is exploding with the difference between data scientists, data engineers. You have a lot. So that goes back into what I think it's important as a founder, a tech founder especially, to embrace the agile principles and the entire concept of an MVP, because you will not have money at the beginning. So you definitely need to come up to the bare minimum product to test your market, because no market, no product, no business. So do not overthink the tech at the beginning, but validate the idea, because the idea validation will give you the tools to go to investors, unless you cannot bootstrap the company. And this investor will give you the money to actually build a solution. Otherwise, it's going to be challenging, because building tech is expensive. And either you, at the beginning, you put this money by yourself and you take this risk, or you need to convince someone that there is a market worth it for them to put some money in your idea. Start small, think big as usual, but start small.
Thank you. Let's maybe take one or more, 2 questions, if there are any.
it can be a pretty silly question, but it's not very clear to me. So you three, will you be like the main mentors we will we'll be able to reach out to? You will be present in the program, or not? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so this is how it works. We have a list of nearly locally 100 mentors just within the Benelux, and globally, as I mentioned before, is more than 25,000 mentors globally. So how it works in every week, there is an expert in a topic. For example, if it's product development, if it's branding, if it's another topics. So there will be mainly three experts. They will be talking about this topic and then giving feedback to startups to their pitches as well. And besides this, within those weeks, mentors in general, those 100 and plus, they put their office hours when they are free to talk to startups, to founders. And then founders can book the one-to-one sessions whenever they want. So for sure, you're gonna maybe find Matteo and Michelle, Fabrice, and others. But also you get an opportunity to book global mentors, like for example, mentors who are mentoring in Silicon Valley or Germany, but they are open to talk to founders from other places.
Gotcha. Okay. And how do you know which is the right mentor for a topic you might want to reach out to? Do you think we can get some guidance or tips on that, or is that something that you do your own research on and just aim for the best?
Yeah, so basically you have the mentor's name, they have the first small description of what they do, and then you just see based on what you need. Of course, if they're a lawyer, you're not gonna ask them about IT, you know what I mean? So depends on your need, you're gonna target the mentor you wanna ask questions to.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Here I just recommend also checking their LinkedIn profiles. Just having a look what they're posting, what they've worked on. Sometimes they're also placing that they're mentoring specific startups, which is helpful because then you can check out the startups. It's basically kind of market research, which will also help you a little bit to understand what's out there in the ecosystem. And then once you found a mentor where you click, I'd always ask or recommend to ask for like 1 or 2 recommendations because they understood what you're building, usually. And then they can help refer you to another person that would be beneficial.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And also in the system, when mentors put their office hours, they put the title of that. In the title, it means what you will need to. For example, I put finance related topics in every time, so you know that we're gonna come to talk about finance, for example. Or mentors, they put the title of their office hours and where they can help exactly.
Yeah, and if I can add, actually, as Amin said, think about this 3 months program, 14 weeks, I think, if I'm not wrong. Every week you have a topic. So that means that week 1, you will get 3 mentors, expert of idea and validation. Week 2, 3 mentors, expert of finance, 3 mentors, and then so on and so forth. So depending on the topic of the week, you will always have these 3 mentors related. So again, based on what is your need and what, if you are interested in, I don't know, legal topics, then you know that these are the 3 people that attend the session. So probably those that it will be kind of easier because you can get to know them during the session, but there are a ton of other legal mentors, potentially global. For example, sometimes it happened that, you know, we got from Luxembourg sometimes the question how to open a business in Estonia. And so you need a kind of legal advice in Estonia or in another country because some people actually did it. So in that case, it's not a type of mentor that you can find in Luxembourg, but for sure in the ecosystem and in the tool that Amin was mentioning, you can find a specific expert in a specific jurisdiction that you're interested in.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, one last question. I can ask this question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so if no one's asking, yeah, I would like to, in general, we were saying that, mentioning a lot that it's challenging program. And we say that for a reason, because we wanted only dedicated, motivated founders to join that. And it's hard because startups life is also hard. So it gives you an idea where you're going. Even though I would like to get from your point of view, what was let's say, the best moments you had during the program? If there is anything that you remember that you would like to share.
Definitely pitching. It's one of the most challenging things, but definitely also pitching, just going out of your comfort zone, learning how to structure, everything you learn in the process of restructuring information, putting it in a small chunk, getting people interested. So once you realize and you experience that one moment where people start to understand you and give you positive feedback or just react in a way that's not just think again, come back next time, but slightly more positive, that's just quite motivating, because it gives you this understanding of what you've already done in this time and what else would be possible. And obviously, there's no limits what you can do.
Thank you, Michel.
Definitely. I think it's like when you are a visionary, a leader, you have that kind of dream that you're the only one knowing that will solve a big problem. And some are motivated by being rich, but some are really motivated by solving an issue that they have faced themselves. And it's very difficult in the beginning to articulate, your idea in a good way. So even your family, your friends sometimes doesn't really catch up the value proposition of what you're sharing. So as Michel said, after a few weeks, you are able to articulate in 1 minute, so 60 seconds, sometime less, the value proposition, the market, and also the added value to any kind of business, to anyone that's really the most exciting things that I have, like getting into in an escalator with someone I never met before, and in a couple of words being able to pitch. So and I'm really thankful for that.
Thank you, Fabrice.
Well, maybe just to, Fabrice, I was thinking about one thing, but then after what you said, you made me think it's most of an anecdote, because honestly, there have been so many exciting and motivational moments from the very first time. I don't know if we mentioned this, but one of the things that I like, I'm a kind of person, I like making fast decision, even sometimes they're not perfect, but I like fast decision making. And one of the things that I like the most is that the Founder Institute, when you have this weekly pitching sessions and the mentors gives you ranking, there are no threes allowed, so they can give you either 1 or 2 or 4 or 5, so you have a clear direction if you're going in the right direction or not. So definitely one of the moments that I remember with as a best memory was the first time that I got a 5 during a pitching session with a mentor. Wow, you made me dream. I really remember that these were the words that are still sticking into my mind after 5 years. So, wow, probably there is something. There is an expert that is really understanding. It was the session of 1 minute pitch. So in 60 seconds, I was able to transmit something to a person. I said, Wow. And then, as you mentioned, and that just is a funny anecdote, my mom is a little bit the opposite of me. So very, stable job, be safe, etc., etc. So the day I went and I said, you know what, I'm quitting Amazon to do online cooking classes, she probably was like, wow, what is going on? So it was like after 5 years, she's one of my personal biggest fan of what we are doing. So sometimes just showing with your passion and you can even convince people that are close to your heart that not necessarily think in the same way you think, but with perseverance, determination, and resilience, you can bring them also to your side after a few years, and it's a human and personal satisfaction, let me say.
Thank you so much. And with that, I would like to maybe wrap up and close the session. I just want to remind that our deadline is the 8th of October. And so the program is starting soon. And I will leave the floor to Michelle, Fabrice, and Matteo if you want to have any last words you want to share.
Well, the very last word, I haven't had the opportunity to hear each and individual ideas, but feel free to connect with me if you have other questions. I'm very open. I really like at least even to have an informal chat. You tell me what is the next big ideas that you're thinking of. So I'm very much open. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And in any case, I wish you the best and success in whatever your endeavors going forward. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Matteo. Fabrice?
Sorry, well, thank you very much for joining. I really wish you the best in this journey. I hope your dreams will come true. So be resilient, consistent, and we'll be there to help you.
Thank you so much, Fabrice. Michelle?
Yes, thank you everyone for being here, for all the questions you've asked, for staying with us and listening. And same, if there's anything you'd like to know, feel free to reach out. I'm just starting my tech development journey, so maybe I'm not the best help in that part, but anything related to the Founder Institute as an experience on how it works, or generally maybe also just the emotional roller coasters that entrepreneurs face, because there I'm very experienced, not just with my own, but also with coaching entrepreneurs. If there's anything in that aspect, feel free to reach out. Happy to connect, exchange. I'm looking forward to seeing some of you in the program, and maybe some others that will also join us a bit later. I wish you otherwise all a very nice evening, and back to you, Amin.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate Matteo, Fabrice, Michelle for being here, sharing your feedback with the audience today. Thank you everyone for joining us. And yes, if you have any questions about Founder Institute in general, reach out to me. You can reach out to Michelle as well, like Matteo, Fabrice, and we're happy to answer all your questions. If you have questions related to the program before it starts, I'm happy to have any calls soon and discuss those questions. And yeah, you can reach out to me via LinkedIn. I shared it there. And with that, I wish you a very good night. See you.
And thank you, Amin, for driving this session.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.